Hello there, my name is James, and I'm going to be talking to you in this presentation about how to build a successful career. Something to note, you might wonder why I have dreads in this picture, and I have no dreads in this one. I actually cut my hair a while ago, and if I'm probably recording another video, you'll probably be seeing me in dreads again. But it's just it's just me, changing my looks and stuff. So let's actually go into why we're here today. Right. So there's a massive youth unemployment problem in Nigeria, which is where um, I this video is intended for the citizens in Nigeria, the youth in Nigeria in particular, and Nigeria being the giant of Africa, with a population of over 226 million as of 2023. It does not make sense that we have 70% of that population being the youth, and then 53% of the Nigerian population, the youth population, being unemployed. That's about 83 million Nigerians, which is not well meaning for us. But what exactly is the problem? Why this is the case? And I think it's starting from even the foundations, right? The education system in Nigeria is rigged for failure, such that a lot of people being young, do not get proper guidance on what kind of career path to follow, and even the kind of schools and knowledge systems that we are exposed to, being the school curriculum in Nigeria, broken and outdated, and do not really prepare people for the job market. A lot of people say there are no jobs, but there are actually a lot of jobs that a lot of people are not qualified to take. And that's will just give you a picture of the typical Nigerian path, which is also like peculiar to me as well. A lot of us go to school or went to school, primary and secondary, and then even at secondary school, when you need to go into departments from your senior secondary, the smart ones are pushed to the science class because they believe that that's where smart ones should be, and then the commercial class is for maybe the also smart ones, but not as smart as the science students, and then you move also down to the art class where they say it's for the unserious ones, which is not really the case, right? And then we get to a point where we all have to take the joint admissions matriculations board exam, that's JAMB, and JAMB decides what you do with your life at this point, whether you go to a particular university or college or polytechnic, and what you study in that institution of higher learning is also dependent on how well you can pass the JAMB exams, right? And at this point, uh, because of the demand for a a couple of courses, some select courses like maybe medicine, pharmacy, engineering, law, people are lobbying for to get into these courses and to learn these things in school. So that increases the cutoff mark, making it difficult for a lot of people to get in, right? So it depends on the total performance, right, of people at that particular admissions year, right? And this is mostly for the federal schools. This does not necessarily apply to private institutions, but this is the majority of Nigeria, in federal and state universities. So this is what it really looks like, right? And then when you're done with university, you get deployed to serve Nigeria in the National Youth Service Scheme, right? NYSC. But then what next after this, right? After you go through this system, what exactly is in the market for you? What are you going to find, right? So I think a better way to do this is that you start by identifying your strengths. Whatever level you are now, whatever place you find yourself right now, it's always good to do a reevaluation. Identify your strengths. Are you a creative person or an analytical person? Now, this should have been the kind of things that kids are exposed to, younger in their lives and in their education. So they know what kind of courses to take, what kind of vocations to delve into. If you're someone that has always been good with numbers and good with mathematics and things like that, that means you're mostly an analytical person, and you defer to not to logic, right? And if you hate math and that's not really your line of stuff, you most likely be in the creative side. There are a lot of people also that are not necessarily in one segment or the other. You're both creative and analytical at the same time, right? And but there will be definitely be points where you have more strengths, right? So this is the kind of map that people should really look at to identify their strengths first, and the strengths you've been able to identify will determine, the career path that you should also take. And we'll talk about this more in more detail later. But look at creative skills like, innovation, storytelling, design thinking, imagination, and the likes. Then look at analytical skills like critical thinking, problem solving, data analysis, right? This already should look like some like jobs, right? This look like professions even at this. But then if we go a little bit further, creative skills will take you into a kind of market. If you're going into tech, like you can become a product manager, a content writer or strategist, a marketing person, a UI UX designer, a film director, a photographer, illustrator, and the likes, right? Those are things that require, a lot of it requires creativity, even if that's not the only thing that will make you excel in that field. And then in the analytical side, you're looking at things like software engineering, the web development, financial management, accounting, economics, architecture, planning, management, things that have a lot to do with numbers because of the kind of skills that you've probably identified for yourself, right? So that gives you the kind of career fit. And we've talked about, creative skills, analytical skills, and the kind of careers you should be looking into when you identify that you're someone that possesses any of these skill sets. So let's talk about myself, right? What's my own story and why am I actually sharing this in a presentation? This was, we've seen the typical Nigerian story, and this is mine. My own story. Still, this should be related to a lot of Nigerians as well. So I was actually an all-round student in my early years. I was both creative and analytical. All of someone that is really very suited to the educational system. You're someone that has good memory. You can cram, you can write things down. You can represent stuff, but you're also good with every other subject and stuff like that. That was me. I had initial interest in creative arts. I used to draw, and I used to do comics and stuff like that, but I was discouraged at a very early age. But then this did not necessarily die because I still used it in a lot of other things I'm doing now. I also wanted to solve problems with science, which pushed me to the science domain and pursued science class, and then also determined the course I studied in university, right? And I had limited information and career guidance at the time. So I went to the university to study biochemistry in the University of Lagos. This was me. This was my early years. Then school attempts, which I've kind of talked about, because of limited knowledge and resources as well. In my first attempt at JAM, I actually scored over the course mark, went for the post-UTME examinations for Unilag, but I did not get the cutoff for my course. So I was given physics education. I was initially not interested in following the course. But I went on, I did the first semester in school and I actually, came out first semester with a 5.0. That's like a perfect CGPA. But it was not enough for me to stay there. I was already taking JAM again and I was going to switch, kind of restart afresh from biochemistry, right? That will come to my second admission in the University of Lagos. In my third year in this course now, I realized at the point of student industrial work experience, that was CWES or IT placement, as you would call it, that it was really difficult to get a placement, in Nigerian landscape if you do not necessarily have connections. So it was connection over skill. Nobody cared how smart or skilled you are or how competent you are. If you do not know somebody in some place that knows somebody else somewhere else, you're not going to get any job. So this was a painful realization I came to, and I was disillusioned with the career outlook in Nigeria at that point. That when I finished from biochemistry, what exactly am I going to do? And then I kind of coincidentally stumbled into digital marketing and started to do some digital marketing gigs right as I was in university. Then in my final year, I started to do a little bit of data analysis. I was writing research projects for people doing their BScs, MScs, and PhDs. Doing all of the data work, like SPSS, statistics software, interpreting data, collecting research, and all of that, right? And then after school, I secured a job as an agency. As a content strategist. So you see, I've done a little bit of, creative stuff and then analytical stuff, even as I was in the university and before coming out. And then that kind of influenced my professional career. I did a little bit of, CS at Jumia, but, I probably forgot to include it here. But my NYC attachment was as a travel company where I started properly with digital marketing. and I had multiple interests and multiple jobs. Really, after that, that's at this point in time, that's about 6 years ago, um, and I have held many roles right in my career. From chief revenue officer, chief marketing officer, marketing manager, growth, product sales, partnerships. I've done the whole shebang in the commercial side and picked up numerous skills in that line. Right. So this is my story. I sent out a survey before starting this presentation and this webinar series, really, to collect information as to what exactly the registrations, you guys were registering for the webinar. Your current employment status was what I was trying to find out. So that will influence the preparation of these slides as well. So you see a lot of you are employed, you have a steady 9 to 5 job. That's 45% of you. I collected 310 responses, and this is what the data showed. We also have 32.3%, right? That's like second highest on this pie chart, that are graduates and currently or doing the NYC, right? Which is, you're the graduate level anyways. And then 12.9% self-employed business owners, maybe vendors on Instagram and the like, CEOs in your own standing, which is really good. And then we also have like undergraduates, people that are still in the university or figuring out their life before college. That's 9.7, right? So I see a lot of working and earning people kind of being in this audience, right? And I also see areas of interest, right? The highest areas of interest here is learning a tech skill. So I can rightly assume that even people that are working their steady 9 to 5 jobs are probably not in tech and want to pivot into tech. And also some want to become digital creators, kind of something I also do at the moment. And then 16.1% want to get a job in tech. So I would also assume that you want to get a job in tech because you've learned the skill to get you a job in tech. And a lot of people, want to learn a tech skill. And then maybe when you learn the tech skill and I ask you again, you probably want to get a job in tech. So that's like the majority of people that I'm talking to right now, which is really excellent. I also see a bunch of people that are interested in starting a business, and this number is uniquely small, right? Because I think it is really daring for you to want to start a business and not follow the typical path of finding a well-paying job or even just a consistent source of income. And you want to start a business where you're not even sure when you're going to make money or if you're even going to make any money at all, right? So, I give you thumbs up, right, for the people that are interested in business and people that are actually running a business right now, right? So let's look at some career options for you. So depending on wherever you are now, you may decide to further your education, formally or informally. Now, furthering your education in a formal system means you go to a institution of learning, right? An accredited or certified institution of learning. Or informally, you probably learn by yourself. You learn from other professionals, from open universities like maybe Udemy or even YouTube, right? And then you just learn skills like useful skills that you can apply, right? On you don't necessarily maybe get a certification or a certificate or anything to show that you've learned, but you can actually do the job. Then entrepreneurs, right? The business people that want to, start your business or maybe start a company, proper a corporate organization or a tech company or whatever. And then people that want to go into the professional career, steady 9 to 5, that gives you guaranteed and steady source of income and job security maybe. And then digital creators, you probably want to get into the influencer lifestyle. You want to be a UGC creator, a YouTuber or an Instagram, influencer, all of that life. These are career options that you have available in Nigeria. We're going to talk about them in detail. So look at the pros and cons of whatever kind of career you want to follow. So if you go into formal education, and I believe that the goal of education, formal or informal, is for you to actually acquire skills and competencies that can get you into either entrepreneurship, a professional career, or the creator economy. So some of the pros for formal education is that you specialize in something. You have the credentials to show that you went to maybe a university or you got your MBA, right? You have an education accreditation as a certified financial accountant. And then you also get to network because you have like-minded people that go to that structured institution of learning and then you make most of the lasting connections you have in your lifetime. The cons is that these institutions are expensive, they are time consuming, they take like a good chunk of your life. You probably spend a decade or a half in an institution of formal education to basically come out and be ready to take on something in life. And there's no guarantee of job even if you go to a formal institution. For informal education, it's more flexible. It's something I like my personally. It's cost effective. You get your money's worth, and it's self-paced. That like online courses, you can take at your own pace and finish whenever you like. And then there's also the cons of that is that there's limited networking opportunities there because you cannot really interact, connect with people that when you're taking online courses, except it's in a structured, also a kind of structured um, way where you actually have like cohort members and you're enrolled in a school method where you have assignments and deadlines and you have some kind of class, but it's just virtual, right? Another problem with that is self-discipline. If you're not disciplined, you will not be able to push yourself to complete the course or to meet up with, structure your timetable or your life to even prioritize that thing you're taking online, right? And then the credibility, those things can be called to question, right? That might also be a con for that, or disadvantage. Then entrepreneurship, right? Like I said, there is risk of you don't even know if your venture is going to succeed. You spend a lot of hours. People talk about the 9 to 5 being, you're spending 8 hours per day, 40 hours per week, doing a 9 to 5. When you're an entrepreneur, you are spending like 24 hours on the job, right? Because you're chasing profits, you're chasing, markets, you're chasing customers. You have to get everything right if you're going to make any money from it. So you work. There's no defined hours that you're going to work as an entrepreneur. There's uncertainty in your business. There's high risk that you might not succeed. But then the pros of that is that you get to be creative. You get to use and build multiple skills. You're independent, right? You're not answering to anybody per se. You're actually answering to your customers. You're answering to people. You're accountable and responsible for some things. But then you're also independent in that you're your own boss in a sense. But then there's a potential for high rewards, right? There's no cap to how successful you can get, how much money you can make, what you can do. The possibilities are endless if you succeed as an entrepreneur. If you want to follow a professional career, there's job security there, like I talked about. There are benefits like, if you're doing a good job, you have pension that guarantees that, when you're older and you cannot work anymore, you'll be paid a certain amount of money that allows you to do stuff, as an elderly person. You get health insurance. You don't have to pay for medical bills if your company covers for it. You're covered under like a medical care. You get like vision, dental, health, maybe gym access, spa, massage, and a bunch of good stuff, right? And then there's career progression that you see growth over a course of time. The problem with professional career as well is that it's rigid. You suffer burnout. Your timetable is defined. You have to continue to do and meet up, with all of that. Follow the company rules and regulation and policies, and then you get limited autonomy, depending on what level you are in the organization. But when you're more senior, you actually have opinions that matter and count. But when you're like very junior, you don't necessarily have a say in the affairs of the company. You cannot determine how you get to work and things like that. Now, going to the creator economy, where it is also where a place that allows for the maximum creativity and expression. You can be your own self. You can tell the world whatever you want to tell them at your own terms, at your own will, and everything like that. Very flexible, and you get to engage with your own, let's say, customers or clients very directly, right? The problem with it is that it's also very uncertain. It's like entrepreneurship in a way where you have to manage yourself. You have to be very consistent, right? The most successful digital creators are consistent people, probably posting content 5 times a day, always jumping on the latest trend, and they are everywhere. They are putting in the work. And then there's also that uncertainty of income because you're depending on your source of income are typically, brand sponsorship, endorsements, monetization of whatever channel it is you're using. If you're invited to speak at events or things like that, you probably get paid certain amounts of money. And there is also if you now own your own products, you can probably make money from that and monetize, right? So those are some of the areas you can make money from, creative economy, and other options that you have available here in a career path. Now, the basic steps for you to succeed in any career path that you choose, right? And I've just laid out five of them. One of them is to identify your strengths, like we've talked about earlier. You need to know what you're good at, what you're naturally, skilled at, and that would really help you so you don't struggle in whatever career path you're pursuing. You also need to recognize that you need to play the long game. There is no path that is very easy. There's no like quick way to success. And also know market sizing and positioning, which we'll talk about in more detail. And you need to build skill and competence, right? You need to know what you're doing in whatever field you're going into. Then it's also very important for you to network and connect with people so that your journey can be easier. Now let's talk in like very specific detail. Identifying your strength. How do you identify your strengths? Identify, self-assess, do some self-assessment to know what you excel at naturally. You can also take some personality tests that will give you some insights into what kind of person you are. You find some of these tests available online for you to take. You can also seek feedback from peers, mentors, supervisors, people you've worked with before, right? Aristotle says that knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom, right? That will help you to go a long way. Playing the long game, right? Like I've said, whatever path you choose needs 3 to 5 years at least to show some promise or to get to a point where you think you've succeeded. No business is going to succeed in the first year. Maybe outliers, maybe on very special or unique terms, right? You need at least three. Think of all the most successful businesses or companies or entrepreneurs you know. They worked very hard for over a course of time, a long period of time. Even people that are doing, pursuing professional careers, they did not become overnight success, right? So success takes time. And for you, you need to focus on consistent progress that you can measure progress that this year you're not the same as last year, or this month you're doing better than last month. Even today, you've learned a new skill, you've moved one step further to your goal. Also be open to change, especially if you're doing business, for you to be able to recognize where that business, is going to fail because of many factors beyond your control. And you need to pivot or change your business model or change the products totally that you're selling, right? And then also look out for you to build lasting relationships with the right network of people that will help you to get to where you're going to faster, right? So yeah, this is one quote from myself, right? That people forget to mention about overnight success, that it takes years of work to get to a position of success, right? And that's one thing you should recognize and note, that there's no such thing as overnight success. Anybody you see or hear that is doing very well, or any company you even see or hear that is doing very well right now, go and look at their backlog, look at their track record. What have they been doing for the past 5 years, right? Those were the things that prepared them to maybe blow up at this point where you consider them overnight successes, right? So that's it. Play the long game. Also, market size and positioning is something that is very critical for business people. And I'm going to show you how to do this, right? So you need to first understand your market, right? Who is the person you are trying to sell to? Who are those people? Who are the competitors that are already doing what you're doing, selling similar products or tending to a similar market? What are the trends that are going on around you, right? Then you need to know what sets your business apart, right? What makes you different? And then you need to obsess over your customers. Your customers should be even your biggest focus, more than your competitors or anybody else that is doing anything else, right? So choose your markets wisely. You could be the best hustler in a small market and you will still fail, or you be the worst hustler in a big market and then you succeed. This is what Tosin Eniolorunda said. Tosin is the CEO of MoneyPoint. You can Google him. Right. So let's come to market sizing. There are three terms that are very common to business people. If you're preparing a business plan, if you're pitching to an investor as a startup founder, these are terms you need to be familiar with. Total addressable market, serviceable addressable market, and your serviceable obtainable market. TAM, SAM, SUM, right? It's a word play thing. Yeah. So your total addressable market is the whole industry that you are targeting, that's within your business line, right? Your serviceable addressable market is 1 to 10% of the total market, right, that you want to play in, that you think you can capture in the next 1 to 10 years, right? Then your serviceable obtainable market is a smaller fraction of your market that you think you can reach with your efforts in 3 years time, right? So just like Tosin said again, choose your markets wisely, right? So let me show you how this applies. So if you're doing a business that is servicing the luxury leather goods industry in Africa, I got data from some sources online, like statistical published reports, the type that KPMG will publish, or PwC, right? The big four consulting accounting firms, and they've published that the market size for luxury leather goods in Africa is $27.64 billion, right? That's a big market. That means if you can capture a fraction of this market, you succeed, right? Think of the likes of your Fendi, your Gucci, your Ferragamo, and all of those um, luxury leather goods that people always buy and want to show off that they are living a certain life, or they are a certain level, right? And then the leather footwork market is a fraction of that market that you might want to target. So your serviceable addressable market being 2.4 billion US dollars, right? The leather footwork market in Nigeria. So we've come down from Africa to a pie of that, a small pie of that in Nigeria, right? And we're looking at it that the leather footwear market in Nigeria is worth 2.4 billion USD. If we move further again and niche down a little bit to our serviceable, obtainable market, right? The one we believe we can capture in 3 years, right? Bespoke men and women leather footwear in Lagos, right? Lagos State, and bespoke leather work. So bespoke means that, they are tailored to requirements and requests of customers. The customer says, I want this kind of design on this kind of half shoe or leather work, and then you tailor it to them. So that's what the market see. Look at the fall down from 27.6 billion to 2.4 million, right? So that is the way you do market sizing. And these numbers, depending on whatever industry you are focusing on, can also reduce and become increasingly small. So that tells you that, go for a market with the largest market size, right? And then just go there and hustle if you're doing business. This is something you can also apply to whatever career. If you want to be a digital creator, if you want to be, a professional with a 9 to 5, even in tech, what is the biggest market in tech right now? Is it cloud, cybersecurity? Is it products? Is it marketing? Is it, design and all of that? Look at the market and look at how you can position yourself in that market to be successful, right? So this is also something about positioning, is that is the way you actually present and position yourself or your business. So your winning space must be unique to competitors. It must be motivating to your customers and something you can own for your brand. So look at what your customers want, what your brand does best, and what your competitors does best, right? You want to move away from what your competitor does best, because those are losing zones and dumb zones. And your winning zone is between what your customers want best. I mean, what your customer wants and what your own brand does best, right? That's where you win, and that's where you position yourself. If you position yourself anywhere else, around where your competitor is, you're going to lose this game, right? And that's how positioning works, really. One more thing is for you to build skill and competence. And Helen Hayes says that the expert in anything was once a beginner. So don't be afraid to start from somewhere, right? Because even everybody else that is ahead of you, they were the fool at one point. They were imposters. They started from somewhere too. So identify the skills that are required in whatever career path you want to choose, whatever field you want to delve into. Get resources and mentorship, right, to build those skills. So it will help you if you find somebody that has done whatever it is that you want to do, that is way ahead of you, that you can model your own path along with them, right? Even if they're not direct mentors, like people you have access to, but if you can trace their journey anywhere, if there are people that share their experiences, online, they've written a book, they've published something, go and read those things, go and digest those materials that they've provided, so you learn from their own mistakes, then move faster and get the same outcomes that they probably have gotten, right? There's also the parts where you apply the skills, right? So when you build your skill and competence and everything, go and apply those skills, right? Nobody got anywhere by just learning stuff forever. If you're learning and learning and learning and you're not applying the knowledge, you're losing, right? You're wasting your time. There's also something very important, in terms of networking and community, right? So for you to do networking, go for events where you want to meet with like-minded professionals, then give value, be somebody that gives. So if you're reaching out to a mentor now that I want to learn from you, I want you to take me under your wings as a mentee and all of that, right? They will not be very open to just accepting you like that. What you need to do is show that you're also a valuable person. Find things that they're interested in and provide value upfront. Tell them, oh, I see that this is this you're interested in. These are things you're doing, blah, blah, blah. And I will help you with this. And over time, they will see that you're someone that understand the game of value, and, they will help you too, right? So give value, contribute to communities as well by sharing the knowledge you are gaining that, you're learning, offer help and be proactive, right? Your network is your net worth. Then I have some resources that might be helpful for you depending on what kind of career you want to take. So if you're a business person, you're a digital creator, or you're a professional in 9 to 5, right? I think a number of courses and training materials I have published will actually help you to succeed in that line, right? I've created training courses on product marketing, on growth marketing, tech sales, digital marketing, and even something like this where I show you how to present yourself, how to build a professional career, how to structure your applications, your everything, right? And all of these are available on my website, jamespraise.xyz/learn. Shameless plug, right? So yeah, if you want to learn product marketing, growth marketing, these are things that I have done, I have practiced, I've led teams in all of these different areas. And I think I'm in a position where I can share knowledge and experiences, and it will be very valuable for you, right? As a digital creator, you definitely need to understand business and you need to understand marketing. If you're a professional in 9 to 5, and your career is in the commercial side, sales, marketing, partnerships, business development, and all of that, those things are actually really in high demand. So depending on what kind of career path you intend to follow, if you want to do products, if you want to pursue a career as an entrepreneur, you need to understand business and marketing. And these are things that I've covered in my courses, like, growth marketing and even tech sales and digital marketing. If you want to become a digital creator, you also need to understand marketing, how to sell and position yourself and your brand. So a lot of more knowledge than this have imparted here, kind of things that you can benefit and gain from, taking all of those training programs, right? And even if you want to position yourself in your professional career, you want to get into tech, and you're not necessarily someone that's interested in the technical parts of tech, right? So you're not looking to become a software engineer or a data engineer or a cloud engineer and stuff like that. You can still earn very well by pursuing non-technical roles in tech. And some of that, I've also covered here, right? With access to resources, materials, templates, and a lot of things that will make your work, faster and easier, and something to even layer upon for yourself, right? So you can get access to all of this on my website. And if you're someone that's interested in, pursuing a 9 to 5 or being your own boss, but you want to do something that's more into the technical side of things, like software engineering, cloud engineering, data engineering, then I recommend you check out Sail Academy, Utiva, Decagon, Altscore Africa. There are a couple of them, but these are schools that I have interfaced with. I have some vested interest there. I have relationships with them. So I recommend them because I know how their training programs work. So I also recommend you check them out if that's, your area of interest. Right. And I covered some questions and answers earlier when I delivered this presentation, which I've tried to answer in the presentation slides, right? But if you have any further questions, you can also reach out to me. You'll find my email address on my website. It's actually hello@jamespraise.xyz. And that's it for me.